Let's go. Okay. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome into the midweek edition of the Batter Up podcast, sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood here on the Sports Insanity Network. I am Mike Rifkin, joined today by the Patch Man, Lawrence Patchman Lang. Patchy, how we doing?
I am doing fantastic.
So you're
We're
doing
here for
Rob Van Dam-tastic.
fantastic.
Shout out Face Turn. We're recording it Friday night. Take that.
Hey, take that to the bank.
All right. But today we're going to dive into the second half schedule of Major League Baseball. We are going to start, though, with what has occurred over the past two nights, the Home Run Derby and the All-Star Game itself. Before we dive into the Derby, I do want to say this. Ingrid Andress, who sang the national anthem for the Derby, it is checking herself into a facility because she apologized, saying she sang the anthem Monday night for being drunk. So we wish her the best and gets the help she needs. She needs and wants. She said on social media, "I'm checking myself into a facility today to get the help I need." She posted on social media, quote, "That was not me last night. I apologize to MLB, all the fans, and this country I love so much for that rendition," close quote. Major League Baseball, not commenting. Andress is is the daughter of a former strength and conditioning coach. So good luck. Get the help you need. But that slides into the Derby itself. And it was a fun home run derby because I think the unexpected happened. Alec Boehm had a good showing in the first round. Bobby Witt. And then the guys who were the favorites, Pete Alonso and Gunnar Henderson, didn't really have great showings in the home run derby. So it was kind of like, okay, down goes Goliath a little bit. But fun derby, won by Teoscar Hernandez, which, Patchy, I got to tell you, I was stunned when I found this out. Teoscar Hernandez becomes the first Los Angeles Dodger or Brooklyn Dodger to ever win the home run derby.
Yeah, that's very interesting because it either says that, over the years, LA hasn't had a bat that wanted to participate in the home run derby, or it shows that not that many Dodger players have declared for the home run derby and have tried to win it. Considering
Yeah,
the fact, they've been around, since the Brooklyn days in the early 1900s to not, well, granted, we didn't have a home run derby till the early 40s, if I'm not mistaken.
yeah.
But
Go in
regardless,
that ballpark.
somewhere in that ballpark, it just shows that, history is always being made every day, whether it's in the baseball world, in the sports world, in the actual world, pretty cool moment for Teske and the Dodgers organization.
Yeah, it's a very cool moment. Yeah, it was a fun. And by the way, the last out Bobby Witt Jr. made landed right in front of the fence. We almost had a swing off in the final. He put on a great show, unlike ESPN, who I gotta give a little bit of crap to because I hated how they operated the cameras throughout. It makes it harder to judge the ball when you keep going in and out like the way they do. But you know what? And also bring Chris Berman back. Back,
Yeah,
back, 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 back.
that ball is way back there.
Yeah, but love Boomer. All right. So that was the Derby. Now we get into the All-Star game itself, which was 5-3 win for the American League, their 10th win in the last 11 All-Star games, their only loss being last year. We got some things we wanted to see. Paul Skeens against Aaron Judge in the first inning. We got a Shohei Ohtani homer. I really wonder if he put a FanDuel out that he would hit a home run in that spot.
Well, we
I don't
we
know.
can't we can't judge there.
Can't judge that.
And the best part about that home run was that Soto didn't even move.
No, no one moved. I think Judge and Soto were mic'd up at the time, and Judge goes, "Oh man, he got that one." And then we saw a lot of guys coming out of the bullpens, both sides, throwing 100 miles an hour.
Oof.
I mean, could you have a better inning than Mason Miller of the Oakland A's had? I think he threw the fifth or the sixth inning. He was unreal. Emmanuel Clase to close the game for the American League. He was fantastic too. Jared Duran gets MVP for hitting a 2-run homer, which was the difference of the game. 5-3, the American League wins. But there were two big takeaways. One, can the guys wear their own team's jerseys? Those uniforms were hideous last night.
I will say the jerseys over the last few years have just been horrendous.
Yeah, just wear the team jersey. That's all I want. That's all the fans will. You're there to represent your team. You're not there representing the league.
Yeah, you're representing your team, and you're there for a great evening of baseball. Who cares? No one has the NL and the L don't have to be in hypothetically uniform altogether. Let them wear their
You don't
team's
need a
jersey.
unity uniform.
A unity uniform, yes.
Yeah, especially like the National League jerseys looked like the Miami Marlins jerseys, which and the American League jersey were just plain ugly. Let the players represent their teams, wear the team jerseys. They used to do it. I don't know why they ever did away with it.
Oh, because you know what? MLB probably wanted more of a money grab.
Well, we'll get into that because Rob Manfred did talk about something interesting. We'll get into that in a minute. I just got the article up on my phone. The other thing that was a big takeaway was the amount of first-time All-Stars and the amount of young players who were playing in the All-Star game. You know, Jared Duran's a young player. Brought up Mason Miller earlier in the American League. And then the National League, you have some of the better young players come into the game. It was fun seeing the youth of Major League Baseball because as much as we love baseball, I can do an all-star game without several superstars just because they're always in the mentions. Aaron Judge is always in the mentions. I'm not saying that to be disrespectful to Aaron Judge. He's a superstar. He's the face of baseball. Actually, second face of baseball. Otani's the face of baseball. But Mookie Betts has a broken wrist, so he didn't go to the All-Star game. I didn't miss Mookie Betts during the game. Not knocking Mookie Betts, but it gave an opportunity for others to perform. So it was cool seeing the amount of young talent displayed on the baseball diamond last night in Arlington, Texas. You know what they say?
Yeah.
Everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah. I'll
Shout
throw
out
this
Sandy
one.
Cheeks.
Yeah, Sandy Cheeks. Shout out SpongeBob. I'll throw this question out here. We know how like the NFL, the NBA do, first team, second team, yada yada. How about a second team all-star team game? So where yes, you're an all-star, but you're not an all-star for lack of a better term, but there's still a game for the people that couldn't be part of the first all-star game or whatever. But like do a second tier all-star game where yes, we have the MLB showcase where it showcases, the youth of baseball and the prospects, but like all the young kids in the league right now and have a game.
I think the problem I run into with that is just the timing of when you can do it. But here's the thing. And this is where the fan, how they register the All-Stars gets to me. Fan voting, you as much as I hate fan voting, I think it is the stupidest thing on the face of the earth. They got it right this year. I will not. I will not yell and scream if I think you got one guy wrong. I ain't getting into that. But I thought they did a fine job this year. The thing that bothers me is every team gets a representative. Garrett Crochet's having a nice year for the Chicago White Sox. He shouldn't be an all-star.
Well,
Is Ryan McMahon having such a great year that he deserves to be an all-star? That's the thing to me that I just go, man, I'd rather see player X here than this guy, but that team needs a representative. And we can't take away from team Y because all 4 or 5 of those guys actually deserve to be here. That's where you kind of run into the problem.
but then I'll pose this question back to you: if Aaron Judge is having a crappy year, people are still going to vote him in as
people are going to vote him in. But that's why fan voting is a sham. Because
Aaron Judge could be batting 150 right now with 2 home runs. He's still an all-star.
The superstars will always go. So, not to beat a dead horse here, but Bryce Harper hurt his hamstring a couple of weeks ago. I find it a little ironic. The week of the All-Star game, all of a sudden, he's good to go. He's going to play in the game. What would have happened if he wasn't? What are we doing? Is Freddie Freeman starting at first base? Is something else going to go down? It's just, you need to figure out a way to combine the fans to get, I don't want to call them dumb, non-biased. That's where I'll go. Because fans will vote for their guy. And I don't have a problem with that. It's just, to me, the All-Star game used to matter. Now it doesn't. But it's fun to see the young, deserving players get an opportunity.
So, how about this? We can go the Pro Bowl route on how the NFL does theirs, where it is the coaches, the players, and some of the fans. So have some fan voting, but
that's what it is. That's what this is. It's the fans vote for the starters here, and then the coaches and players around the league vote for other all-stars.
Well, make it more than the players and the coaches, and then a smidge of fan voting, where the fans, will basically they'll put Ohtani, Harper, Trout.
Well,
all the big, but it's like
but that's what this is. Here's the thing: they have taken the word, and this is every All-Star game. This isn't just Major League Baseball. They've taken the word exhibition because that's what this is. They've taken the word exhibition and they've made it into a form of reality because you'll see them play with effort. They play with effort. Trey Turner made an unbelievable play last night.
Yeah. When the 3 of them were all mic'd up, and then
he makes that diving stop to his right, to his left. It was an unbelievable play, but they put in the effort. But it's like the wins and losses, it doesn't make it an effect on anyone.
It's like
I'm not saying the home field advantage in the World Series thing worked.
I was about to bring that up. It's not like where home field advantage was up for the World Series.
You need to find some way to incentivize it to just make it a tiny bit better. But again, we digress. Go ahead.
One more idea. How about you throw the NL and the AL out, and you just do a fun charity game where it's
actually so that's a fun idea because you could do what the NBA has done is you take 2 team captains and they select their own teams.
So I think the way that would work then is you take your previous year, you take your AL and your NL
MVP.
AL and NL MVPs. And you make them the captains, and then they draft their teams, and then wherever the All-Star game is that year, you do it there. And then whoever wins the All-Star game, the captain of that team gets, let's say, $1 million to their charity of choice.
I have no issue with that. So in reality, the way the first half ended, your All-Star game captains for next year would be Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah. But then
That's
like but then you could mix it up a little bit where okay, Trout's on Mookie Betts' team. That's an NL. You're
yeah,
crossing everybody
exactly.
together.
100%. That's not a terrible idea. It's a good solution. It's not a bad solution. All right. But again, the American League wins for the 10th time in 11 years in the All-Star game. Talk about ownership. Okay. So I found this article on ESPN. It's written by Jesse Rogers. And something we talked a little bit about before. I made the joke when I said Ohtani hit the 3-run homer, and I said, I wonder if he put a parlay on himself hitting that 3-run homer. And Rob Manfred apparently expressed concern during his press conference before the All-Star game about threats to players from gambling. Speaking hours before the game, Manfred said he's heard from players about threats they are receiving, though he didn't get into specifics about them. Quote, if a player receives a threat from any source on any topic, it is a matter of concern to us that we take really seriously, Manfred stated. Quote, I've had players in the last month mention this issue to me as one of concern, and we're discussing what we should do to be more proactive in this area. His comments come on the heels of several player suspensions, even a lifetime lifetime ban for gambling. And it's also on the heels of what happened with Ippei Mitsuhara, the former interpreter of Shohei Ohtani. Manfred goes on to say, quote, I'm a believer that penalties and demonstration of your ability to figure out what's going on serves as a deterrent. Working your whole life to get to the major leagues in whatever role and lose that over sports betting, that's a huge penalty. So, and we can dive deeper into the article if you want, but overall, here's the problem. Everyone has access to the gambling now. Everyone can make a FanDuel or a DraftKings or, whatever you want to go, BetMGM. Everyone has access to this. And these sports leagues, Patch, they're in bed with the gambling. Because when you watch a football game or a baseball game or a basketball game, you get 3 commercials. What are they going to be? Oh, there's going to be a FanDuel. There's a DraftKings. They may slip in either a medicine or a car commercial. And then there's a BetMGM or something. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
You mentioned those, and you look at ESPN, where ESPN will be having their show, and then on the bottom line, it gives you the money lines for everything.
Yeah. Well, ESPN's even into the gambling. They have the ESPN Bet.
Yeah, they have the ESPN Bet app.
And that terrible pool commercial with Stephen A.
Not a sponsor.
Yeah.
But it's just it's not like look at the NFL now. The NFL and the NHL, when they're in Vegas now, are you going to tell the players, don't go out and gamble?
Well, Major League Baseball is going to go to Vegas with the A's,
with the A's. Are you going to? You're not going to tell me one of those players ain't going to stop by a casino and drop $100 somewhere for someone on some bet for baseball or any sport.
And here's the funniest part about it, Patch. We have all these issues with gambling now, right? Now there's a bigger cry for Pete Rose to get into the damn Hall of Fame.
That's all. That's been a can of sour grapes forever.
I mean,
but it's not. I bet you even Rod Manfred's out betting something somewhere.
Listen,
everybody's betting.
I love being a conspiracy theorist guy. I do. I love it. I absolutely enjoy being a conspiracy theorist. I'm going to sit here with a straight face. And I'm going to say this. I've said this on the podcast multiple times. I want Major League Baseball to release the findings into their investigation of Shohei Ohtani. if he truly didn't know what was going on. I want them out there for the world to see, for me to see.
What do you think MLB is going to do that?
No, they will not release it because if Shohei Ohtani is guilty, if Shohei Ohtani were to be guilty in that spot, Major League Baseball would lose its biggest cash cow. And I say that with all due respect. Shohei Ohtani is the guy everyone wants to emulate Major League Baseball because he hits home runs, he hits 320, and he could throw 95 miles an hour. He is the modern day Babe Ruth. He is a unicorn. Put a horn to his head. He is a unicorn. They don't want to lose the unicorn. You lose the unicorn, the casual baseball fan is going to drop out when you don't have that star. Now, you do have other stars. You have Judge, you have Bryce Harper, you have Trout when he's healthy.
Juan Soto.
Soto. But nothing compares to Shohei Ohtani and what he does. So that's why I don't think we'll ever see it. And I'm hoping one day Rob Manfred, does something, says, you know what? I'll take on the challenge and I'll release the findings. Because right now I don't trust Major League Baseball for anything they say. It's kind of, let me put it into these terms. The only way we get the release is if Rob Manfred became Roger Goodell and Shohei Ohtani became Tom Brady during Deflategate, where Goodell wanted to get him and had to get him after Spygate. Manfred doesn't have those problems. Rob Manfred's got his own issues. So, but all of these leagues are going to run into problems with gambling. It's just the nature of the beast. So, we'll see what happens if this continues to spiral. And by the way, it's not just the Major League Baseball who's having these issues. The NBA's had these issues. Jonte Porter got a lifetime ban. The NFL has had issues with guys gambling. Every league is having issues with guys gambling.
And then my thing with that is you take all your sponsorships, all your betting sponsorships out of your stadiums.
Yeah, but it's all about it's all about the money.
And
there
and
goes
now
the money.
and to me, if you want to take the biggest conspiracy theorist out there, this is just a small talk between two guys from their rooms
and everyone listening.
The sports books are going to control the game soon, and everyone's going to be oblivious to it. Where it will be, you know what? Finally, the long shot's going to win. We're going to have the Marlins win the World Series, for lack of a better term.
Listen, you don't think watching a basketball game for a second, you don't think there's been a thought in my mind like, man, this team shot 30 free throws compared to 17 for the other team. It's ridiculous. Umpires. How can you call that pitch in the other batter's box a strike? He had money.
I still think when the Patriots were getting blown out in the Super Bowl against the Falcons, someone made a call somewhere saying, yeah, we're reversing this. We got to build Tom Brady's legacy.
Well, remember when the Ravens were crushing the Niners in the Super Bowl and then the Beyonce forced the blackout?
Yep.
Listen.
You think that it's maybe a hard stretch. The Bills and the Chiefs, 13 seconds left.
No, that was just to break Moser's heart. It was it was absolutely it was when you saw the heart sink in that moment, you knew.
I remember I was watching my living room with my mother. My mother was heartbroken, and I still feel bad.
I was at Moser's apartment.
Oh. Did that man just go to bed after and you were just left there?
No, he had to go back to work.
Oh, that's even worse.
No, actually, the game may have ended while he was back at work, and then when he came back home, he didn't want to talk about it. All right,
Uh,
so
But but
welcome to our
that's
deep dive of conspiracy theories.
the conspiracy theory.
Oh, all right.
All
Oh.
right. But back on track,
Back on
just
track. Back to the baseball. Something I do want to dive into very quickly. Monday, everyone gets a representative. Mets first baseman Pete Alonso, an impending free agent, discussed his tenure with the team and what his future holds beyond the season. And he basically said how much he loves New York and the Mets organization, how he's been there since he's been a kid. And New York's his home, and he doesn't want to get traded at the July 30th trade deadline. Although with the Mets right now occupying a wild card spot, woohoo, they're less likely to trade him. But what the long term future holds, we don't know yet. And there's been a dispute between Mets fans on what they should do and what they shouldn't do because Alonso didn't have a tremendous first half, but he had an all right first half. But the contract's weighing up on him. And I go back to, I want to say it was 2011, where the Mets had to make a decision between David Wright and Jose Reyes of which homegrown player they would keep. They chose David Wright, and because of injuries, David Wright's career cut short, but David Wright was a tremendous man. Pete Alonso is the best Met homegrown player since David Wright. He is going, if you sign him long term, he is going to break Darryl Strawberry's record for the most home runs. He has been I don't want to call him a leader, but he's been a guy who's embraced being a Met, embraced New York. The LFGMs after post game interviews on the field, the charitable work he does for New York. I don't care if you're David Stearns. I don't care if you're Steve Cohen and you have a bajillion dollars. The Met fan, if you are a real Met fan, you want this guy locked up because you want to. He has embraced the Met fan, and the Met fan has embraced him. That's the guy you want. You don't want to go with the guy who really doesn't care. Argument's sake, Juan Soto's going to go to the highest bidder this winter. He's not going
yeah.
to go to just go for the sake of going. He's going to go to the team that offers him $600 million or whatever it's going to be. Pete Alonso's going to get 200, maybe, in a down year. Would he take 6 for 180, something in that ballpark? I don't know. But I think this is a deal the Mets have to make because of the fans. And you have to give the fans. Listen, they brought back Brandon Nimmo on a great, which turned into a good deal. Edwin Diaz, the Mets fans wanted him back. But there's something different about Pete Alonso. It's just the fact that he is the guy who could break the home run record, who could, I don't even want to say be the face of Major League. He's the face of the Mets. Imagine that, having a polar bear as your face.
Yeah.
But
They're usually eating faces,
they're
but
usually eating faces, yeah. But I think the Mets have to re-up with Pete. That's just me. And if you're a Met fan in here and you disagree, let me know.
I
But
mean, I don't disagree. I'm a Nats fan,
you're a Nats fan, which is really
but
weird.
well, that's a discussion for a different day. But to me, if the
Is it because
Mets,
you confuse their curly W with Walgreens?
I'm gonna fluff in, come through this monitor, and punch you like Snitsky did that one night on Monday Night Raw. But I
Wasn't my
digress. But
fault.
I listen. I'm trying to help you here with Pete Alonso. The- if the Mets are smart, you offer Pete Alonso a great deal that he can't refuse. Not saying you don't go the Bobby Bonilla route, then we have Pete Alonso Day for the
Oh,
next
Jesus
60
Christ.
years. But somewhere in the realm where, it's, let's say, 7 years, 300 million we'll go with, I guess. Or, however that works out. But you find a way where you can maybe go out and get Juan Soto as well.
Well, that's the thing. Because Steve Cohen has all this money, and I know David Stern said coming into this year everyone's under evaluation. Juan Soto is a great baseball player. Don't get me wrong, but I'm okay with Juan Soto being anywhere else. Juan Soto could go sign with the San Francisco Giants. Juan Soto could go go sign with the Seattle Mariners. If you're going to tell me this winter the Mets can have an offseason of Pete Alonso and one marquee free agent, get me Corbin Burns. Mainly so I could do the Mr. Burns Simpsons gif with excellent. That's all I want. All right. So that's what I believe the Mets should do with Pete Alonso. If it's 7 for 200, 6 for 180, whatever it is. And I think Pete Alonso would give the Mets a little bit of a hometown discount. I have to believe that as a fan. All right. So that's that. Now we're going to dive into fun stuff because we are T minus 13 days away for the Major League Baseball trade deadline. And if you look at the American League and National League wild card standings, in the American League, you have 4 teams within 5.5 games of the third wild card spot. And if you want to go further, there's 5 teams, 6 games for the top 2 wild card spots because the Twins are only a half game up on the Red Sox. And in the National League, unless you're the Rockies or the Marlins, you're still in this. Although Patches Nats are 6 out, but they've already said they're going to sell at the trade deadline. So what I have come up with is I show off my awful, awful handwriting to the camera.
I've seen worse.
These are the schedules from Friday when play resumes up until the trade deadline to determine whether these teams will be buyers or sellers near the deadline. And we'll give you some thoughts. We'll start in the American League. And the team that is right now occupying that third wild card spot is the Boston Red Sox, who will come out of the All-Star break in Los Angeles to play the Dodgers. They will then go to Colorado to play the Rockies. Then they play their good friends, the New York Yankees. And the team they've also taken 2 series from already this year. And then they'll play the Mariners. I said on Sunday, Patch, to the old ops guy and to Dan, that I felt the Red Sox have overachieved a little bit this year. But I still think they're going to be around. This team has some talent. They've got fight. I give the Red Sox a ton of credit for where they're at.
I do too, after, last few seasons where it's kind of been an abysmal dumpster fire for them.
Yeah, it's been rough, but you can
it's been
see
rough,
them on
but
the other side.
they're getting themselves out of the rabbit hole from, I wouldn't say past players being on the team with being in controversy, we'll go with, or certain managers being part of controversy. And they're getting themselves out of the rabbit hole. And you know what? To much surprise, I bet you if the Red Sox somehow make the playoffs, I bet you they'll find a way. If they get the Yankees, they'll get rid of the Yankees.
Well, they've beaten the Yankees in 2 series already this year. And by the way, don't let people fool you. The New York Yankees are in a little bit of trouble themselves, too, coming, here. They limped into the second half, too. Then you get the Royals. Their schedule looks like this. They get the White Sox twice, the D-backs, and the Cubs. This is a team I really like. I really like this Royals team. They're young. They're fun to watch. They got great starting pitching. Seth Lugo's had a renaissance here. Bobby Wood Jr. was an all-star and is fantastic. Sal Perez is a future Hall of Famer. Uh,
I mean, if
yeah,
you, I mean, look at the Royals. Since they had their moment winning the World Series the last 10 years ago.
they haven't been relevant since the Lord song. Can you
Yeah,
imagine that?
yeah. It's been a long road for them too to get back in the mix of things because, like I said, the last 10 years for the Royals, it's just been a downward downward trend for them
Well,
because
it's because they can't spend the money to
yeah,
those
they
big
can't.
market
Yeah,
teams.
they can't. They're a team out in the middle of the cornfield,
Yeah, now Patrick Mahomes is a part owner. They can start spending some money.
and they get some of Patrick Mahomes' money to help maybe bring them some money.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're another team where it's just good to see them back in the mix of things, and them just being there, and then they're getting 50 wins this season.
Yeah, they had one of the worst records in baseball last year. Then you got the Houston Astros, who everyone wanted to bury when they were 11-24. They get the Mariners in a massive series in Seattle. That's for first place in the AL West. Then they play the A's, the Dodgers, and the Pirates. Everything for me on the Astros comes down to, can their starting pitching hold up? They'll make a move at the deadline for one. I just don't know who that would be at the moment. But they're not going away. They have the heart of a champion, and Jose Altuve is clutch. And I'm really saying that to annoy Yankee fans.
I would say to annoy Yankee fans,
Yeah,
but Altuve is the heart and soul of that team.
yeah. And eventually they'll get Kyle Tucker back, and they're gonna be dangerous. They really are. Then you got the Rays. They'll play the Yankees, the Blue Jays, the Reds, and the Marlins. I think the Rays have overachieved their 500, but they've had a ton of injuries too. I don't think they'll get there, but they're always a fun watch, the Tampa Bay Rays. They find ways to do things differently than everyone else. All right. So on to the National League wild card situation. We'll start with the team in the third spot. That would be the New York Mets, although there are a bunch of teams locked in here up until the Cubs, who are 3.5 out. But the Mets, they come out of the break with 4 with the Marlins. So they play the Yankees, the Braves, and the Twins. That Marlins series is imperative because if you win 3 of 4, it lessens the blow if you lose 2 to the Yankees. So, and then they play the Braves, who they can make up some ground on. They're only 4 back of the Atlanta Braves. So the Mets have a chance here. And if the Mets falter in the stretch, they could become sellers at the deadline. Who knows what happens? Then you got the Arizona Diamondbacks, who were in the World Series last year. Massive series this weekend. Diamondbacks Cubs. Massive. It's at Wrigley Field. Then they play the Royals. Then they play the Pirates. Then they play the Nats. The D-backs are a game over 500. Again, big series this weekend. If they can get Corbin Carroll going offensively, and then the starting pitching, they just got Zach Gallen back. Hopefully, they get Merrill Kelly and Jordan Montgomery back for their sake. But that's for the D-backs. They're right there. Then you got the Padres, who will play the Guardians, the Nationals, the Orioles, and the Dodgers. I'm very curious, and this is just speculating. What happens if the Padres miss the playoffs again? Last year it was we fire Bob Melvin. What is it this year? Who do we make tinkers to the roster? The starting pitching's been up and down because of injuries and such. Machado hasn't had a great year. Tatis has had a good year, but he's banged up. They do have Luis Ariz coming through though, and this kid Jackson Merrill's had a nice rookie year, so we'll wait and see there. The Pirates, they come out of the break. They'll play the Phillies, then they'll play the Cardinals, the Diamondbacks, and the Astros. I don't. The thing about the Pirates is going to be this: if they're going to shut down Paul Skeens and Jared Jones, they're not getting it, and they're going to be more concerned with the long-term prognosis as opposed to the short-term, which isn't a terrible way to operate, depending on how they want to go about their future.
Right.
So,
And to me, if I were the Pirates, get ready for next season. Don't
the
take the
problem
risk.
is you're a game and a half out. But the reality is, if you get to that third wild card, argument's sake, and then you're playing the Phillies in the first round, you're out in 3 games.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, is it worth it? That's the question. Some of these teams are going to have to ask themselves, is it worth it? I think for the Pirates, they're going to say it's not. Then you got the Giants who get lucky here. They get 2 series with the Rockies, a series with the A's, and a series with the Dodgers. I keep waiting for the Giants to take off. It just hasn't happened. I love the roster. They've had some injuries, but I'm waiting for them to kind of take off. So we'll wait and see on the Giants. Then you got the Reds who will play the Nationals out of the break. Then they play the Braves. That's a big one. The Rays and the Cubs. Same thing with the Padres. The starting pitching's been okay. The offense has been up and down, but there's been an expectation on the Reds this year. They haven't lived up to it in the first half. They need a big second half that they're going to get in. And I would love for them to be aggressive here at the deadline. For this reason, you weren't aggressive last year, and that's why you missed. If you're aggressive this year and you make it, now you know. Then you got the Cubs, who will play the Diamondbacks this week, and then they play the Brewers, Royals, and Reds, rather. The Cubs are 3.5 out. If they lose these series to particular Arizona and Milwaukee, they lose 2 or 3 to both those, and they slide, let's say, to 5 or 5.5 out, they should wave the white flag and sell off. Cody Bellinger, fractured finger, he's out. They have some pieces to sell off. You don't know what they are at the moment with the Cubs. It's weird because, again, kind of like the Giants, had an expectation for a team that was aggressive in free agency, and they just haven't lived up to the hype that they put themselves into at the moment. All right. So those are your schedules from Friday, July 19th to July 30th, which is the trade deadline. So we'll see how some of these teams look into buying and selling markets. But then we get into the weekend previews. As I mentioned before, Diamondbacks, Cubs at Wrigley, massive playoff wildcard implications there. The D-backs are coming off a pretty good series, losing a series to the Toronto Blue Jays. Cubs are coming off of a series where I think they split 4 with the Cardinals. I could be wrong on that. But Diamondbacks in Chicago, huge series for both squads. Then we get the Battle of Pennsylvania. The Phillies go to Pittsburgh. Like I said before, the Pirates are right there. Phillies right now, in my opinion, are the best team in baseball. They're deep in the rotation. That lineup has no freaking holes in it. It's unbelievable. So the Pirates are going to get a test. Rays Yankees is a big series. Rays are still alive. The Yankees need to show something here. They took 2 or 3 from the Orioles going into the break. How does that carry over? That Sunday loss was brutal against the Orioles. So and because I know most Yankee fans are very fond of Aaron Boone.
Well, if I think it's a downward trend for the Yankees right now
I I don't think you're wrong. I think they are
because
too one dimensional.
they should have at least won the series against the Reds,
Yeah, they got
and then
swept by the Reds. Yeah.
they only won what was like 3 or 4 games before the All-Star break,
Oh, that they've been struggling. Yeah, yeah.
and
And then they took 2 or 3 from the Orioles series was the first series they'd won in 8 series. So they just
well,
have not played good baseball. They're old. They're just not fun to
they're
watch at the moment.
they're injury prone right now as well. They've been injury prone for the last couple years, and
And that comes back to Cashman and Boone and not having a plan.
the biggest thing is if the Yankees want to compete, they got to beef up the bullpen. And that's been said
Yeah,
numerous times about them.
yeah. They need pen arms for sure. I I don't understand why they won't put Luis Gill in the bullpen, especially if you're going to limit his innings as a starter. That might be a weapon for you. I don't know why I just tried to help the Yankees as a Met fan. I don't get it, but I'm just such a nice guy. Rifkin 2028. I'm a nice guy. Uh, Not a big series, but I do want to mention this one. Tigers, Blue Jays. The Toronto Blue Jays are 8 games under 500. You lose 2 or 3 here, throw in the dynamite, blow it up, Toronto. We got to change things up. Padres, Guardians, huge series in Cleveland. Talked about the Padres earlier. Cleveland's got the best record in the American League at the moment. Cardinals, Braves is a big series for National League wildcard implications as well. The Orioles and the Rangers. The Rangers are trying to get back into the playoff picture. The Orioles limped into the break too. They got swept by the Cubs at home, then lost 2 or 3 to the Yankees. And then the Astros and the Mariners. That's for first place in the American League West. The Mariners struggling big time. Lost the series to the Angels. They need to figure something out because that rotation's too good to miss the playoffs. And the Astros have been the best team in baseball since June 1st. But man, oh, baseball is going to be back on Friday. Everyone get your popcorn ready. The second half is upon us, and we are going to have so much fun.
Buckle up, Buttercups.
Oh, buckle up. Get your popcorn ready, peeps. All right, that'll do it for this edition of the Batter Up podcast here on the Sports Insanity Network, sponsored by the Dugout of Millwood. Patch the socials.
SI and Real Insanity on the X. X it up, baby. That wasn't even planned. That was just
That
perfect
was
timing.
not planned.
That was not planned. That was perfectly timed.
We are the
I love it.
modern day Degeneration X.
If you're not down with that, we got 2 words for you.
Fight
Follow.
Moser.
Fight Moser. All right, I'm down. I'm down with that. SI and Real Insanity on the X. Website
Facebook, just Sports Insanity Network.
click and like. Go to YouTube, search Sports Insanity Network. Like,
We're on the YouTube
subscribe.
now.
That's what we're doing. Make sure you follow that, hit that bell icon so you get notified when we're live. And of course, go to the website to keep up with all Rifkin's blogs at www.thesportsinsanitynetwork.com. I will be writing again soon. Got to find time because, living the life as a captain in a seafood world is tough times to write.
As
But
long
with
as you
that-
ain't Captain Hook.
I ain't Captain Hook.
All right. We'll be back Sunday morning for the next edition of Batter Up. Everyone, try to stay cool out there.
Stay cool. Drink plenty of water, Gatorade, whatever keeps you hydrated. And then once the sun goes down, drink whatever you feel like drinking.
5 o'clock somewhere.
5 o'clock somewhere. It's about to thunderstorm at my house, so hopefully my power doesn't go out.